officers on the wing. She wasn't just a witness to the disaster, she was a student of it. She was calculating solutions. Just 2 hours earlier, in the sterile, bustling environment of the airport terminal, Diana had tried to introduce herself to the flight crew. As a certified commercial pilot and a former Air Force officer, it was standard, professional protocol to identify herself to the captain when flying as a passenger. It was a matter of courtesy, of safety, a way of letting the crew know there was another qualified pilot on board in the unlikely event of an emergency. The emergency was no longer unlikely, it was here. Captain Richards had barely glanced at her, his eyes, the color of faded denim, dismissing her with a casual, practiced contempt. He had looked at her pilot's license, then at her face, and a small, cruel smirk had played on his lips. "Oh sure," he had muttered to Bradley, his voice loud enough for Diana, and several other people at the gate, to hear clearly. "Another flight attendant who thinks she's a pilot." He had handed her license back without even really looking at it. "These diversity quotas are getting out of hand." Bradley, his eager two-piece co-pilot, had laughed, a loud braying sound that had made Diana's skin crawl. Next thing you know, he had chortled, playing to his audience. Of one, they'll be wanting women to fly aircraft carriers. Two, Diana hadn't responded. She had learned, through long and bitter experience, that responding to that kind of ignorance was like wrestling with a pig in the mud. You both get dirty, and the pig enjoys it. So, she had just smiled, a polite, cool, enigmatic smile, and headed for her seat, carefully storing the humiliation away. She had learned to use moments like that as fuel, and she had a feeling she would need that fuel someday. What those men, in their comfortable, unexamined privilege, didn't know, what they couldn't possibly have imagined, was that the woman they had just dismissed as a diversity quota had been the first black woman in the history of the United States Air Force to fly the F-2 Raptor, the most advanced fighter jet in the world, in active combat missions. They didn't know that she had over 3,000 hours of flight time, most of it in high-stress life-or-death situations. They didn't know that her military specialization had been something her instructors had called impossible emergency landings. Now, as the plane plummeted towards the earth, as the very same men who had despised and humiliated her were screaming for help in the cockpit, Diana Foster, with a calmness that frightened the passengers around her, unbuckled her seatbelt. Her movements were precise, economical, calculated. It was as if she already knew, with a chilling certainty, exactly what was going to happen next. A flight attendant, a young woman with terror-widened eyes, was stumbling down the aisle trying in vain to calm the panicked, screaming passengers. Diana gently, but firmly, took her by the arm. The young woman flinched, her eyes wild. "I need to get to the cockpit," Diana said, her voice a calm